But I don't like German. It isn't at all a becoming language. I know perfectly well that I look quite plain after my German lesson. Dear Uncle Jack is so very serious. Sometimes he is so serious that I think he cannot be quite well. I suppose that is why he often looks a little bored when we three are together. I wish Uncle Jack would allow that unfortunate young man, his brother, to come down here sometimes. We might have a good influence over him, Miss Prism. I am sure you certainly would. You know German and geology and things of that kind influence a man very much. I keep a diary in order to enter the wonderful secrets of my life. If I didn't write them down, I should probably forget all about them. Yes, but it usually chronicles the things that have never happened and couldn't possibly have happened. I believe that memory is responsible for nearly all the 3-volume novels that Mundy sends us. Did you really, Miss Prism? How wonderfully clever you are! I hope it did not end happily. I don't like novels that end happily. They depress me so much. I suppose so, but it seems very unfair. And was your novel ever published? But I see dear Dr. Chasuble coming up through the garden. Miss Prism has just been complaining of a slight headache. I think it would do her so much good to have a short stroll with you in the park, Dr. Chasuble. No, dear Miss Prism, I know that, but I felt instinctively that you had a headache. Indeed, I was thinking about that, and not about my German lesson, when the rector came in. Oh, I'm afraid I am. Horrid political economy, horrid geography, horrid German. Mr. Ernest Worthing, B4, the Albany, W. Uncle Jack's brother! Did you tell him Mr. Worthing was in town? Ask Mr. Ernest Worthing to come here. I suppose you had better talk to the housekeeper about a room for him. I have never met any really wicked person before. I feel rather frightened. I'm so afraid he will look just like everyone else. You are under some strange mistake. I am not little. In fact, I believe I am more than unusually tall for my age. But I am your cousin Cecily. I see from your card, Uncle Jack's brother, my cousin Ernest, my wicked cousin Ernest. If you are not, then you have been certainly deceiving us all in a very inexcusable manner. I hope you have not been leading a double life, pretending to be wicked and being really good all the time. That would be hypocrisy. I am glad to hear it. I don't think you should be so proud of that, though I'm sure it must have been very pleasant. I can't understand how you are here at all. Uncle Jack won't be back till Monday afternoon. Couldn't you miss it anywhere but in London? Well, I know, of course, how important it is not to keep a business engagement if one wants to retain any sense of the beauty of life. But still, I think you had better wait until Uncle Jack arrives. I know he wants to speak to you about your emigrating. You're emigrating. He has gone up to buy your outfit. I don't think that you will require neckties. Uncle Jack is sending you to Australia. Well, he said at dinner on Wednesday night that you would have to choose between this world, the next world, and Australia. Yes, but are you good enough for it? I'm afraid I've no time this afternoon. It's rather quixotic of you, but I think you should try. You are looking a little worse. Oh, how thoughtless of me. I should have remembered that when one is going to lead an entirely new life, one requires regular and wholesome meals. Won't you come in? A miracle meal? Why? I don't think it can be right for you to talk to me like that. Miss Prism never says such things to me. Miss Prism says that all good looks are a snare. Oh, I don't think I would care to catch a sensible man. I shouldn't know what to talk to him about. Uncle Jack! Oh, I am pleased to see you back. But what horrid clothes you have got on! Do go and change them. What is the matter, Uncle Jack? Do look happy. You look as if you had toothache, and I have got such a surprise for you. Who do you think is in the dining room? Your brother! Your brother, Ernest. He arrived about half an hour ago. Oh, don't say that. However badly he may have behaved to you in the past, he is still your brother. You couldn't be so heartless as to disown him. I'll tell him to come out, and you will shake hands with him, won't you, Uncle Jack? Uncle Jack, you're not going to refuse your own brother's hand? Uncle Jack, do be nice. There is some good in everyone. Ernest has just been telling me about his poor invalid friend, Mr. Bunbury, whom he goes to visit so often. And surely there must be good in one who is kind to an invalid, and leaves the pleasures of London to sit by a bed of pain. Yes, he's told me all about poor Mr. Bunbury and his terrible state of health. Oh, I merely came back to water the roses. I thought you were with Uncle Jack. Oh, is he going to take you for a nice drive? Then have we got to part? It is always painful to part from people whom one has known for a very brief space of time. The absence of old friends one can endure with equanimity, but even a momentary separation from anyone to whom one has just been introduced is almost unbearable. It can wait, Merriman, for 5 minutes. I think your frankness does you great credit, Ernest. If you will allow me, I will copy your remarks into my diary. Oh, no. You see, it is simply a very young girl's record of her own thoughts and impressions, and consequently meant for publication. When it appears in volume form, I hope you will order a copy. But pray, Ernest, don't stop. I delight in taking down from dictation. I have reached absolute perfection. You can go on. I am quite ready for more. Oh, don't cough, Ernest. When one is dictating, one should speak fluently and not cough. Besides, I don't know how to spell a cough. I don't think you should tell me that you love me wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly. Hopelessly doesn't seem to make much sense, does it? Uncle Jack would be very much annoyed if he knew you were staying on till next week at the same hour. Oh, you silly boy! Of course! Why, we have been engaged for the last 3 months. Yes, it will be exactly 3 months on Thursday. Well, ever since dear Uncle Jack first confessed to us that he had a younger brother who was very wicked and bad, you, of course, have formed the chief topic of conversation between myself and Miss Prism. And, of course, a man who is much talked about is always very attractive. One feels there must be something in him, after all. I dare say it was foolish of me, but I fell in love with you, Ernest. On the 14th of February last, worn out by your entire ignorance of my existence, I determined to end the matter one way or the other, and after a long struggle with myself, I accepted you under this dear old tree here. The next day I bought this little ring in your name, and this is the little bangle with the true lover's knot I promised you always to wear. Yes, you've wonderfully good taste, Ernest. It's the excuse I've always given for your leading such a bad life. And this is the box in which I keep all your dear letters. You need hardly remind me of that, Ernest. I remember only too well that I was forced to write your letters for you. I wrote always 3 times a week, and sometimes oftener. Oh, I couldn't possibly. They would make you far too conceited. The 3 that you wrote to me after I had broken off the engagement are so beautiful, and so badly spelled, that even now I can hardly read them without crying a little. Of course it was. On the 22nd of last March. You can see the entry if you like. Today I broke off my engagement with Ernest. I feel it is better to do so. The weather still continues charming. It would hardly have been a really serious engagement if it hadn't been broken off at least once. But I forgave you before the week was out. You dear romantic boy. I hope your hair curls naturally, does it? I'm so glad. I don't think I could break it off now that I have actually met you. Besides, of course, there is the question of your name. You must not laugh at me, darling, but it had always been a girlish dream of mine to love someone whose name was Ernest. There is something in that name that seems to inspire absolute confidence. I pity any poor married woman whose husband is not called Ernest. But what name? But I don't like the name of Algernon. I might respect you, Ernest. I might admire your character, but I fear that I should not be able to give you my undivided attention. Oh yes, Dr. Chasuble is a most learned man. He has never written a single book, so you can imagine how much he knows. Oh! Considering that we have been engaged since February the 14th, and that I only met you today for the first time, I think it is rather hard that you should leave me for so long a period as half an hour. Couldn't you make it 20 minutes? What an impetuous boy he is! I like his hair so much. I must enter his proposal in my diary.